Hi you guys, my name is Mandy. I am going to start doing a monthly book club, book discussion, book review online through video. I think videos are a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive feeling. So I'm going to start sharing my reads at the end of every month and telling you what I thought of them. Please feel free to share any good books you've read or opinions you have. I have a blog at thislovelypath.wordpress.com. You can follow. I talk about, not much, I'm not on there very often, but I am trying to talk about homeschooling. We would eventually like to get a farm, so our desire to have a farm at some point, a little small homestead. I love books. Books are my passion, so I read a lot and I like to talk about it. I had formed a book club. We just moved to Idaho. We were in Oregon, and I had formed a book club in Oregon a few years back, and that was one of my really fun outlets once a month that I got to go do, and I'm really missing it. I'm missing my girls. I'm missing my talking about books, so this is kind of my substitute for that. I'm basically just going to tell you what I read and what I thought. So this month, the first book I read this month was Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind. This book is one that I didn't, let me hold it over here, the shadow's getting kind of in the way. I didn't love this book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. If I had to summarize it, I would say it was a good mix of like Mists of Avalon and Lord of the Rings trilogy. So it kind of is a mesh of those style of books. If that's your thing, you would probably love it. That's not really my genre. I prefer, my favorite genre is historical fiction. I read all kinds of books. I'm not, the only thing I don't really like to read is like horror. But other than that, I'm pretty open. I read a lot. So I have read several books of this genre, including the ones I compared it to, but it's not my favorite genre. So I think it was a good book. It kept me turning the pages. I wanted to sit down and read it. I did not love it. I thought that there was a lot of, I don't know, it just kind of seemed to drag. It's a pretty big book. It's, let's see, like 800 and a little over 800 pages. So I kind of kept going and going and going. And I'm fine with big books, but you know, if they're going to be that big, they need to really have a reason, I guess, to be that long. This was certainly entertaining. It certainly kept, there was a lot that happened in it, so it did keep pace pretty well. It's just not my fave genre. There also was some content in it that I didn't care for. I struggle with books that have children abuse, especially when it comes to like sexual abuse type stuff. That tends to really make me want to shut a book, and this book did have quite a few, not anything that was like detailed, but it still referenced several things that made me uncomfortable. This is a book of the first book of a series. I believe there's like 12 of them or something. I will not continue reading this series. It didn't interest me enough to continue on and to keep getting them. So, first book, Wizard's First Rule, Terry Goodkind. It was good. Wasn't great. Second book I read is by one of my favorite authors as far as just light, quick reading. And that's Susanna Kearsley is the author. Named of the Dragon was the book I read of hers. She's an author I discovered a couple years back. She writes quick fiction. It is not like chick lit from the sense that it's not like just lame love story. They almost always take place in the UK, which if you know me personally, you know that I'm obsessed. I need to get my England, Scotland fix every once in a while. And when I'm really withdrawing from my either BBC shows or something like that, I will save a Susanna Kearsley book for one of those moments. This book did not fail. I love her. I've not read a book of hers I did not like. There are some that I didn't like as much, but this one was really good. She is not historical fiction, but she writes fiction that always has a historical reference. So there's always some tie to, she has the modern day story, and then she will have the historical counterpart kind of playing simultaneously. And I really like that. I think that that's fun. She tends to put a supernatural spin, just a teeny tiny dab of it, not like sci-fi, nothing out there, just a little bit of something outer worldly. I don't always, personally believe in or agree with, but it's fun to read. This one was kind of, usually there's a story of a woman modern day and a story of a woman from another point in history, usually well-known parts of history, or even well-known characters in history. And there's always some tie between the two. And so my favorite book of Susanna Kearsley was probably The Winter Sea. I also really liked The Rose Garden. I read that one a few months ago, I think. I would say those are my top two. And there was another one that I really loved too. So maybe I have three favorites of hers. She does not write anything with gratuitous sex in it, so that's nice. There's always a love story, but it's not anything that is extremely sexual. She kind of, the phrase I heard once was lead you up to the door and then shut it. I think that was used for a different author, but that is how I feel about Susanna Kearsley. She leads you up to the bedroom door, but then she shuts it, so you don't get all the details, which is really nice. I appreciate that. Great author. I mean, her books are not very big. This is 300 pages. And they are super quick reads. I mean, like I don't think I've ever taken more than a couple days to read one of her books just because they're fun. They're page turners. So if you are looking for quick, fun reads, if you like history or you like the UK, she has a couple that are set in, I think there's one set in the south of France and there's one set in Italy. But other than that, I think they're all Scotland, Wales, and England. So if you like that kind of stuff, I highly, highly recommend her. She's a lot of fun. And she kind of, it's just a fun mix. It's a fun mix of historical, modern day love story, and you get that little tiny element of something supernatural-ish in her books. I always try to read a nonfiction book in the month, and this month I read The Maker's Diet. I like books about health and wellness, and I'm into natural health stuff. So this book was fun. I tend to read books that I end up finding I don't agree with most of the information, or at least part of the information. I didn't find that with him. The one thing people might not agree with, the author is Jordan S. Rubin. And I know this is an old school book, and I think this was popular in like the early 2000s, but I never read it then. So most of you probably read this a long time ago. He is a Messianic Jew, and he follows Old Testament doctrine, and he follows the biblical eating from Genesis and Exodus. So he's following that, and I know a lot of Christians, modern day Christians, I'm a Christian, don't hold to that because of the new covenant when Jesus came. We did away with a lot of those rules, but he gives a lot of good reasons why God gave those to the Israelites, and how it still makes sense in our world today, and how the Israelites were kept from things like the plague that came through Europe and killed tons of people. The Jewish people were not killed off by that like anyone else was. They actually hated the Jews. That was one of the reasons, was because they thought they had caused it somehow, because they didn't get sick like everybody else. And the reason is, though they themselves did not understand why, it's because of the rules that they followed from the Bible. as far as biblically clean eating and hygiene, washing your hands after you touch a dead body, that was like in the Bible. And they followed it and they didn't get sick. So you can imagine those people who were, you know, working on the plague victims and not washing their hands. Duh. So, super good information. I agree 100% with his philosophy on eating, which is really rare. There's nothing I found in here that I did not agree with as far as health and wellness. So if you're into that, it's a good book. I highly recommend it as far as diet nutrition book. I am reading 2. Those are the only books that I completed this month. It was kind of a crazy month. Normally I will have read more. I am in the middle of 2 books though, so I'm not going to review these yet. I'm just going to let you know that this is what I'm reading, and I'll talk about them at the end of February. I am reading The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. I am not that far into it. You can see where my bookmark is. She is not a page turner. I've been reading this slowly. I usually have like one book that I'm kind of like, I'll read a page here and there, and I'm not like, and then I'm reading another book also that I'm reading quickly. So this one I kind of picked up in the middle of the month, and then I'll read it a little bit and then I'll put it down and read something else. And she's amazing though. She's like, her insight into humanity is amazing. I read Atlas Shrugged a few years ago, and I think everyone should have to read it. So I am looking forward to reading it. It's just not necessarily an exciting book that you're just dying to, you know, stay up late to read. So I'm working on The Fountainhead. I will be done with that by the end of February. I'm also working on The Prodigal Summer by Barbara Kingsolver. I have never read a book of hers. I know she's super popular. I know Animal, Vegetable, Mineral was popular years back. I've never read anything of hers. She came highly recommended by a fellow homeschool mom. So I'm reading it. I don't even have, I'm so bad at bookmarks. I just tend to shut them and then I find my spot again. I'd say I'm about a quarter of the way through, maybe a little further, maybe a third of the way through. As of yet, I'm not loving it, but it's okay. So I will let you know what I thought at the end of the month. So thank you guys for joining me. If you want to talk about books, you can leave a comment, or if you do videos of book reviews or anything, link that for me so that I can watch yours. Once again, my name is Mandy, and I blog at thislovelypath.wordpress.com, and thanks for joining me. Talk to you guys at the end of February for February's picks.